Alright, two things today. We'll do this section. It's a pretty short section. It only has a couple of calculation type things for us to do. Most of that comes in the other sections in this chapter. And then I'll let you see your test. I just forgot Wednesday. I would have brought them and let you see those Wednesday, but I just forgot. Let you see those. So I think that's it. Anybody think anything we need to talk about other than personal finance? Think anything? Did you have a good weekend? No, some of you know, some of you didn't. Okay. So, chapter 9, okay, we have 4 sections here. The downside to this chapter, it's all financial math. And the downside of this chapter is that it's just a bunch of formulas. Okay? It's what the math part is. The concepts we need to know, and they're day-to-day, just stuff you need to know to get through life. Okay? The math part is, for a math person, it's boring. Okay? So for you, I know it's probably not great. Okay? But it's also not really hard. It's just kind of tedious because we just have a bunch of formulas we're plugging into. But we'll get through that part of it and then try to focus on the concept of what's going on with the different numbers we have. Today, we don't have a lot of calculations. The main idea in this section is we're going to talk about the basics of making a budget. Okay? And that might not seem exciting to you, okay? But it's needed, okay? And we're just looking at the basics, so you kind of have to do that on an individual basis, right, depending on your personal finances. So can't get too detailed there as a class. And then the second calculation here, we've done something almost identical, but not quite. And I calculate percentage increase or decrease of prices. And the reason why this section is so short is I cut a lot of it out because we've already done things like sales tax and discounts when we did percentages. So our textbook's set up where if you could just do this section and not do the percentage section, or the other way around, which is what we do. So we just cut out the stuff we've already covered. Okay? That makes this section a little short. All right, so love it or hate it, we have to deal with money to live for the most part. I guess there are a few people that go completely off grid and get away from it, but the vast majority of people have to deal with money. Okay? So we're going to look at some of the basics. And we'll get into some more detailed things in the next few sections. But today, again, our main focus is for making a budget. Okay? Some of you may have had some financial math in high school, senior year, or something like that. Or some of you may have parents that are good with money and want to pass that on to you, so you may already have some ideas about budgeting. If that's you, it's probably especially boring, but that just means it'll be easy when you do the problem. So here's our basic outline. Even if you've never made a budget before, for you, the steps probably will make sense when we look at them. Okay? The first thing we need to do for making a monthly budget, we need to figure out our monthly income. Okay? It says calculate monthly and periodical, so you can do it some different ways. We're just going to look at a month-to-month budget here. Okay? So we need to figure out how much money we have coming in. Then we need to calculate our expenses over a month if we're going to do a monthly budget. So figure out how much is going out. and then we subtract. So take how much we make minus how much we have to pay in bills and things. So we subtract. And then the last step here, our textbook suggests if you have money left over that's not in your budget, then we put that toward long-term goals or maybe some type of investment or emergency fund. And there's some different philosophies on those things that you can get into on your own. But I do think allocating, or deciding where you're going to spend any money you have left over is important, because where do you think it goes if you don't give it a home? If you don't tell it, you have some money left over, you just have some money in your pocket and you don't have any purpose for it, what happens to it? We end up doing, it just kind of goes away, right? It just kind of disappears. And you look back and you say, what did I spend all that on? Okay, so don't want that to happen. Okay. It's okay to have that happen to small amounts of money, and be a little relaxed on those. But if you have, anything substantial, you don't want to just let it get wasted. Kind of defeats our budget if we do that. All right, so one little bit of terminology here, and then we'll look at a couple budget problems. We hear a lot of you that work already know this. Just a refresher, maybe. Net income is our total income, which we'll call gross, minus all of the stuff that gets taken out. And the textbook just says taxes, but usually we count other things that come out of our gross income too. So the idea here, net income is actually how much money you end up with. It's take-home pay, you could call it that. And my pen's a little messed up here, so I apologize for my handwriting today. I'll get it fixed. But, you could call it how much you end up with after all that other stuff comes out. Okay. That's what we want to focus on budgeting. There's not a lot up front we can do about taxes and like that. So I'm gonna budget our net income or take-home pay. Okay. So let's look at a problem here. Okay. So it says Jamie graduated from college in 2013 with a degree in accounting. Her first job pays an annual salary of $52,000. I maybe should have thought about accounting. It says, how much should Jamie expect to pay in federal income tax for this salary if the federal tax rate is 15%? So this is just a percentage problem. Okay, it's a step along our way to making a budget. So this is just a percentage problem. We just want to know what 15%, $52,000 would be on this one. So hopefully you remember, we would change our percentage to a decimal and multiply by 52,000. Let's see what kind of taxes Jamie's paying here. That comes out to $7,800. So that's a little bit simplified on how federal tax actually works. Just to mention, so you know, I didn't really realize how federal income tax worked for a long time in my life. So the amount of money we have, what we call a graduated tax system right now in the United States. Okay, so the amount of money you make up to a certain value is taxed at a certain percentage, and once you get over that next value, everything you make over that amount, it starts being taxed at the next percentage, and it keeps going upstairs. Okay, so the more you make, the more you end up paying on that extra you make. And For some reason, I thought like if you made a whole lot of money, that everything you made was taxed at that higher rate, right? You just had one percentage. It's not that way. Okay, so everybody's like first. I don't remember what the numbers are. I need to look at them, but like everybody's first $28,000 you make that year is all taxed at the same rate, and then everybody's 29 to 45,000 or whatever the number is taxed at the same rate. Okay? And the percentages just go up as you make more. Okay? And I forget what it tops at. You can look all that up if you're interested. So this is a little simplified. Okay, really, if she was trying to figure out her federal tax, she would at $52,000. She probably has at least 2 steps. Probably it might be 3 steps on our tax brackets there, but okay, we're okay. We'll call it that. It's good enough. Okay. So there's her 15% federal tax. Let's look at another person's situation here. That's all we want to know for Jamie. I think this name is Priya. That would be my guess. This one says Priya just graduated from Liberal Arts College and acquired a job as a sociologist. Her yearly salary is $34,500. If the federal tax rate is 15%, the Social Security tax rate is 6.2%, and the unemployment tax rate is 6%, determine the following. So we're getting a little more roll off here. So we want to figure out her yearly taxes. So we can take these percentages. We got 3 of them. Right? Take these percentages and multiply by her yearly salary. We'll get how much of each one of those she pays per year, and we can just add them all up. Okay, add them all up. So let's see, I've got a blank slide for us to work on here. So her salary, $34,500 if I can get everything to work here. So let's see, first one we want is federal tax. It was 15%, so 0.15 times 34,500. Let's see there. That is $5,175. Okay. What was next? Social Security was 6.2%, so we had to be a little careful. I'm changing that to a decimal. If we move 2 places to the left, that'll be 0.062. And unfortunately, we just have to multiply that by 34,500 again. We don't get to make our number go down since we've already paid federal tax. They don't care. Got to pay that percentage on the whole amount. So 0.062 times $34,500. It's just $2,139. And then unemployment tax. I guess we'll call it untax. Well, I can write. And so it was 6%, so it should be a similar amount with 0.06 times 34,500. Let's see. $2,070 there. Okay. So for total yearly taxes, I'm just gonna add all these up. So 2070 plus 2139 plus 5175 gives me $9,384. That's total. that make anybody feel sick to their stomach? It does me. And that's not including state tax yet. For sure, get up to a nice third gets taken away. Okay. All right, anyway, that's a topic for a different class, not math class. Okay, so there's our total yearly taxes. Okay. And then what was the other thing? We want to figure out her monthly take-home pay. So the only number we have her yearly salary. Okay. So that's a gross, right, before all that tax. And we have her yearly taxes. So we can take her yearly salary minus yearly taxes. Will give us how much she takes home a year. And then we can divide that by 12 months in a year to figure out her monthly take-home pay. Okay. So let's see here. So 34,500 minus 93.84. That's taxes. So let's see. That is $25,116 yearly. Okay. And then we can divide that by 12. So let's see. That gives us $2,093 monthly. And that is net income. After all taxes. Okay. Normally you don't have to determine that for yourself, right? You can, bless you. All that, they help us out, right? They just go ahead and take all that stuff out before they hand a check over to you. So it kind of works itself out there. And if you get paid weekly, so then figuring out monthly income is a little bit trickier because some months have 5 paydays, right? If you get paid weekly, because we have 52 months in a year, it doesn't divide evenly by 4, right? So every 3 months we have a 5-week month. Okay. So it gets a little trickier there, but we'll work with our monthly income here to make our budget. Okay, monthly net. Okay. I get paid monthly here. It kind of stinks because you kind of have to, especially if you're used to getting paid like every week or something, because you kind of have to get used to setting aside money for everything you need for the whole month. But when it comes to making a budget, it's nice because it's one payday every month. That's nice. Okay. So now we've got that. We're going to keep working with Priya's numbers here. They won't go to waste. Get to okay. So now we want to make a budget. So what we have the monthly expenses, okay, that Priya has listed out, and we got to total those up. We total up to 1810. That would be our next step in the budget process. So let's look at our items here. So paying $600 for rent. And so either she lives somewhere that has pretty cheap rent. We have cheap rent around here, and $600 pretty hard to come up with. Maybe she has a roommate, right? She's probably splitting that. $250 for gas. Utilities are $150. That's a little questionable to me. Maybe some of that's included in rent. Right? food and entertainment, she's spending $600. I guess it's got food in there too. So, and then student loans, she's got $210 worth of student loan payments to make a month. Okay. So that's what she's got. Everybody's going to be a little different on that part. So, what do we do? We've got our monthly income, our monthly expenses, so we subtract. Okay, subtract. This is the part that hurts the most. Okay, taxes are not fun to subtract away, but then this part hurts too. If it's your money, if it's Priya's money, you don't care. If it's your money, it kind of hurts. So, what do we need to do? We need to take our 2093 minus 1810 that we have to pay in bills. That leaves us $283 left over outside of the budget. So that would be this step. And then step number 4, and on the outline we have here, what should we do with that $283? For being wise with our money. Save it or put it towards starting an emergency fund if you don't have one of those set up, or put it towards some type of long-term goal that you have financially, something along those lines. Some of the suggestions here, and then a lot of that depends on what stage of life you're in, what the best thing to do with what that is and all that. So let's think about a couple things here. If you're making your personal budget and you get down here and have some money left over, one thing you need to look at, okay, are you being realistic with your numbers you're budgeting out? So things like rent and utilities, to some extent, depending on what utility it is, they're pretty fixed. They're pretty much the same every month. Okay? So those are easy to budget for. The ones and student loans, the ones that are trickier are things like gas and food and entertainment. So especially things like fun. Okay, we'll just entertainment. What food and entertainment? We call that the fun. Some food you need to live, right? But if you're thinking about like eating out and things like that, this is your number. This is your budget. Okay, so as long as you have money, make your budget realistic. Okay, make it what you actually want to spend on it. The budget's not supposed to be this theoretical thing like if you lived a life and never spent money and never had fun, then this is how it's going to work out. Right? You want to actually make it match your life. Okay? So, if you feel like you need to budget $200 for shoes every month, put it in the budget. Okay? Put it in the budget. Don't know you have something like that and then think you got this left over. Okay? So just know about it. All right. Questions on that? It's not complicated, right? It's just adding and subtracting, but you've got life and practical stuff going on there. Okay. All right, so there's that one. Okay. All right, let's look at another one. We got all that. Sorry, let me get through all this. Okay. All right, we got somebody else's situation here. Practice with theirs. Got Gil, works for an art gallery with an annual income of $44,000. Must be a nice art gallery. Says her net monthly pay is $2,669.33. Okay, so it's nice. We already have her net monthly pay here. We don't have to worry about that step. And then we've got her basic monthly expenses listed here. So let's look. I've got rent of $550. Utilities, here's $310. cell phone bill $60, which is pretty cheap. I'm pretty cheap on my phone, and there's stuff you can do though. There's okay, so I'll go with that. Insurance paying $40. I don't feel like that's realistic. Okay. Transportation $65. Maybe she's riding a bus or something like that. I'm not sure. Food's $300. How far is that stretched on food budget? Do you think for a whole month? That's like $10 a day for all day. And then she's got some type of loan repayment for $290 there. Okay. This one's just always struck me as a little bit more unrealistic than the last one. Okay, so there's expenses. Okay, expenses. And we've got a little curveball on this one. Okay. It says, in addition, Gail receives $30 a week on average from a side consulting job, and she gives $45 a month to charities. And we want to make a budget. We want to know how much she's got left over out of her budget every month. Okay. So, okay, same steps. Okay, we already have her net monthly pay. Okay. So the next thing would be to add up all of the expenses, right, to get the total expenses off of the budget. We won't go into as much detail on this one. And if we take all of our expenses, so let's see, I'll just do it in the calculator and we'll get the number. Okay. So we got $550 for rent, $310 for utilities, $60 for cell phone, $40 for some type of insurance, $65 for transportation, $300 for food, $290 for loan repayment. And also, what else do we need to put on the monthly expenses list? Yeah, we also need the $45, right? It's not, you might not call it a bill, right? But it's still an expense. She's for charitable giving there, so put the 45 on there as well. Let's see, I think yeah. Okay. So if we do that, total expenses are $1,660. Okay. So what do we say her income was? $2669.33. Minus 1660. Figure out how much she's got left over not in her budget. $1,009.33 left over not in her budget here. So, oh, no, I left something out when I leave out. We got to fix our income number. How much extra income is she making? You got $30 a week on average. So, yeah, 90 would be 3 weeks. So we could go 120 for 4 weeks. Here we talk about, well, we need to think about, not talk about, we need to think about, we said some months have 5 weeks, so maybe some months she would have 5 of those in there. So you can get into there and into those details and average all that out if you want to. We'll just say we're being conservative here and we're not counting the 4 months of the year where she might make $30 extra. Okay. Keep it a little simpler there. So need to add that into her 2669.33. Forgot that. So plus 120 a month from her side gig. Okay, so now we can subtract. That's what you got left over. You got any thoughts about having that number left over based on what we've seen of the budget so far? If this was you and you end up with a big number like that left over, not in your budget, okay, that may just be really good. You may have money that you can do those positive things with, right? Save, emergency fund, and invest, long-term goal, those type of things. But I think in this case, if I was advising Gail, okay, I would get her to go back and look at her numbers in her budget, because like that's really tight. Okay, $300 a month for all of her food. That's the big one that jumps out. There's other things you could adjust here. Do you see anything else that's missing from her budget items on this one? Just out of the categories? She got a place to live, utilities, she can call people, she got some kind of insurance, she can get around, she can sort of eat. Yeah, she doesn't. She unless she's just gonna be on the internet all day because she's got the internet, or watch TV all day when she's not at work, and then yeah, she didn't have anything budgeted at all for her fund, and nothing in the fund category. And people do that, and they'll say, "I'll take my fund out of this," and that's okay, but you need to put a number on it. Okay? You need to put a number on it, because if you don't, you'll end up having $1,100 worth of fund money. Okay? And that, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but put it in the budget. Okay? If that's not what you want to do, then put it in the budget, because if you don't, that's what will end up happening. Okay? For most people, some people are really penny pinchers. Yeah, I kind of am. But, you want to have everything you can possibly think of in your budget. Okay? And you pick the numbers, so it's not like you can't say I want to have $600 a month for entertainment. You can put it in there for sure money. Questions on that basic process? It's not that it's hard, it's just that sometimes if you haven't been doing it, or if you're new to having to manage your money, then there's things you don't think about sometimes in there. So just try to get ahead of a little bit of that for you. Any of you do a monthly budget? Okay. So it's good we talked about it then. Good we talked about it. Okay. Okay, so other topic, this small, and we've already kind of seen this idea, so it's not a bad section as far as calculations. Yeah, we want to be able to figure out the percentage of change. We're thinking about prices here. So some items you probably noticed lately, okay, go up in price as time goes along. And some things, if we're thinking about value, like if you buy a new car, you never get to sell it for that same price that you bought it for, right? Because it goes down, it depreciates. So this idea, this formula, if you want to call it a formula, you can use to calculate those things. So the idea, if we want the percentage change, we've already seen almost the same thing. We took the absolute value of the top before. Here we're going to have a sign. You can do it either way. Here we're going to let this either be positive or negative. And so what we're going to do, we're going to take the new cost or new value, subtract the old cost or the old value, and we'll let the sign be whatever it is. That way we know if it's going up or down. and then we divide by the old value or the old cost, okay? And then change it to a percentage. So the important part, the place where I mess up when I'm thinking about it, usually is I don't know, you'll be tempted to divide by the new number for some reason. It's just a brain thing, but we want to divide by the old value. So that reference value is saying that's the old value or the old number. All right, so let's do a couple of these and then I'll let you see your test. Okay, so, let's look at this one. It says Freddie bought a tablet PC for $1,200. 1 year later, the same tablet PC cost $900. Determine the percentage decrease for the price. Okay. So to make sure we get the sign correct, we want the new number first. So we want $900 first. Minus the old value. Well, all right, it's playing tricks on me now. Divided by the old number, so the original value, the $1,200. If you're putting in your calculator all at one time, you'll want to put parentheses on the top. We want to subtract first. You can do it in 2 steps, that's fine. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 900 minus 1,200 and hit equal, and then divide by 1,200. There I get negative, sorry, I don't know what's going on here. Get negative 0.25. Things going crazy on me. Okay. And then we need to change it to a percentage. So if we move our decimal place to the right 2 times, negative, gone down 25%. It has decreased by 25%. So almost the same as when we did that absolute change formula. Yeah, but we're just letting it have a sign this time. Let's look at one more. Last one. All right. Zola, I guess, bought a camera for $1,125. If the price of the camera 6 months later was $761, what's the percentage decrease? So we take the new price minus the old price and divide by the old price. Okay, so let's see, 761 minus 1125, get negative 364. Bless you. Okay, so as a decimal, that is negative, come on now, 0.3235, on and on and on. So I don't know, we'll round to 1 decimal place. So we change it to a percentage, right? Move the decimal 2 places to the right. That'll be 32.4%, and it was negative. I just forgot the negative. So 32.4% decrease. The only thing that's different if it's an increase, right, is our new number would have to be bigger because it's increased, and then these two will be the same again. Questions on those? You know, I've done something really similar, so it's not that that big a deal. Nothing? Okay. All right, so that's the end of that section. Again, we get to cut a lot of that part.